morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by BKCW. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in. It's also 71 days away from kickoff, so be sure to tell us who your favorite number 71 is. We'll take a look at those here in a little bit. But let's start with the hot topic this morning, guys. Recruiting is going to be a big weekend on the 40 acres. Jerry, take it away.
Yeah, we're just going to start with the graphic, I think, for the official visit graphic. Obviously, y'all can see I'm in Austin. Diabell, we're going to get to, was Elite 11 MVP. Again, I'm not a big quarterback on air competition, but it is great for Dia, and it's awesome for him. We got something we're going to show on that a little bit later with him and Raja, who we've had on the show, and we're going to try to get back on the show. Caden Finley we'll talk about in a second. Chris Stewart, Texas commitment wide receiver, visited Tennessee last weekend, locked in with Texas. Caden Prothro out of Bowden, Georgia, there on the Alabama-Georgia line, kind of south, a little bit southwest of Manchester, where Justice Terry's from. He's considered a Georgia lean over Florida. We'll see. He's made all the visits. Kiwi Brown, obviously, we've talked about him. Father is Travis Brown, former UFC fighter. Stepmom is Ronda Rousey. Don't smart off this weekend, Texas fans. Nicholas Robertson, Max Wright, committed on the offensive line. John Turntine, one of the very top targets for Texas in this cycle, is coming in with his family. Jermaine Bishop, committed, one of the best athletes in the country. Defense is really, I think, kind of a center stage piece this weekend. Kendall Gerville and James Johnson, the two defensive linemen from the Sunshine State. They're actually both grew up in Fort Myers. James Johnson went to North Fort Myers High, home of Deion Sanders, same high school, transferred to Miami Northwestern this spring. Kendall Gerville, James Johnson have known each other for years. Both those guys have known Myron Charles for years. Chase Calicut, obviously the hybrid safety linebacker from North Shore. Two elite edges in Richard Wesley and Trenton Henderson. I'm just telling you, Trenton Henderson's about as good as there is that Texas is recruiting in this class. Three linebackers, Kosi Paul and Calvin Thomas from the Houston area. Tyler Atkinson, the 5-star from Grayson. Him and his family get into Austin about 12:25. They fly in from Atlanta this morning. Then there's Paris Melvin out of Cy Springs, the DB who unofficially visited about a week ago. Texas bumped Texas A&M. He's here. Ole Miss is in it. Baylor's in it. But 18 guys total coming in this weekend. Some people are, we've kind of tagged it 5-star weekend because Diabell's a 5-star. Some people have we have John Turntine a 5-star. Some people have Jermaine Bishop a 5-star. There's and Trenton Henderson should be a top 10 in the country. Tyler Atkinson's ranked a 5-star. There's a number of 5-star prospects. Richard Wesley's a 5-star by some people. So it's a massive weekend for Texas talent-wise. I think linebacker recruiting is really big this weekend because this is Texas wants to sign 3, and we'll see where all this goes. But it's a big weekend for the Horns. And by the way, we're going to bring up a little thing on Diabell, but congrats to Diabell because that is those are those accomplishments that are very, very. Even though Bobby, I'm not a big Elite 11 competition guy. For the players, it's a massive accomplishment because it's just your work you put in.
No, it's your parents are there. Raja Bell was there with him. I think it's great for him. Look, Jerry, you were asked last week who's the must-get recruit in this class, and you said, well, they already got him.
Yep.
And it was Diabell. And I think that speaks to that, right? I mean, it tells you where some things are at. I was on the radio show this morning with Aaron Hogan. And they're in Austin. Aaron does stuff with us Tuesday night live stream, and then they'll watch with us during the games in the year. And we were talking about it. And I mean, what Sark has done at quarterback is just, look, we were in the quarterback desert for a decade. And I say that with all due respect to the quarterbacks that were there. It felt like we were in a desert, at least. And now you're sitting back looking at Arch Manning, Trey Owens, KJ Lacey, and Diabell. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than one of the reasons why I think Texas will be a team to compete with beyond Arch Manning in this run is because the quarterback is set up. I mean, as long as you set up the quarterback, you've got a chance in life. You know what I mean? And as it relates to college football. And so that's maybe my biggest takeaway from Diabell and where he's at. And I think that the other thing I'm noticing, and I talked about it a little bit, Quinn Ewers, for all his positives, Jerry, did not have great escapability, right? You can be positive, great on timing, RPO thrower, very accurate in short range and on time, all of that stuff with Quinn. But the one thing he wasn't was a big, run guy. Yeah. And now you're sitting here looking at Arch Manning, who definitely can use his feet, KJ Lacey, who can use his feet, and Diabell, who may use his feet as good or better than any of them. And I think we're looking at a different type of quarterback potentially long-term at Texas. And what is that going to mean? I don't know, but I think it's going to give us a better feel for what Sark wants to do and open up the offense even more personally. And because as good as Texas has been the last few years, making the national semifinals, they haven't necessarily opened up the offense, in my opinion. I think this gives them a chance to open up the offense if your quarterback can run a little bit.
Couple of things. We have Jake Collett, the Texas kicker commitment, coming up in about 15 minutes. Blake, are you muted? No. Then we have Laura Ianello. We have Laura Ianello, women's golf coach, at 9. So a couple of things. Just a very important question: is CJ at the right airport? I need to text him to make sure he's not. He may be at LAX flying in with the Rousey, with Ronda Rousey. We'll see.
There you go. All right, we got a lot more to talk about. So see, I haven't been muted in a very long time, by the way. I just want to put that out there. But before we get to everything else that we're going to talk about, Bobby, tell folks how they can escape the insurance trap.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys know about BKCW. They're our friends. They've been with us for almost 2 years now, sponsoring On Texas Football. We appreciate them very, very much. If you are frustrated by your employee benefits renewal or your business insurance, make sure you give the folks at BKCW a call. Most likely you didn't hear from your agent all year, and then right before it was time to renew, your agent delivered the bad news of a rate increase. When this happens, the agent is providing no value, and you're stuck in what we call the insurance trap. BKCW takes you out of the insurance trap by providing you with actual risk management consulting, not just price quoting. Operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad, BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs and effectively manage your company's risk. Go to bkcw.com or send an email, info@bkcw.com, to get started with a free risk assessment or claims audit and escape the insurance trap. Once again, that's info@BKCW, 512-250-5055.
I need to address this super chat real quick. Brandon Huey, disappointed in Adrian Peterson. With those strong hands, he got handled by Buddy. Yeah, he has one of the strongest grips, handshakes ever in my life. But man, it didn't carry over to the poker fight the other day. That's true. He's not as reactive quick as he once was. I'll say that.
I don't know. I mean, what is he? He's got to be in his mid-40s now.
Probably still runs 10.8 though.
Yeah, he probably still runs 10.8. But I want to say this: what are you doing fighting in your mid-40s?
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. At some point, you got to grow up. That's all I'd say.
At the poker house. I need to follow up with this. Burn Orange Horn. I thought Atkinson was training in Austin. He was for a couple weeks, but he's been back in Atlanta for 10 plus days now. So it wasn't as long as people, I think, made it out to be.
Yeah. Jerry, I got that video clip ready.
Diabell. I was looking for the best video from Diabell winning Elite 11, and I thought this was it. Does it get any better than Pops and Raja out there? We've had him on the show before. One of the great dudes I've met that was a pro athlete, Raja Bell. He's an awesome dad, so supportive, and I just thought that was cool to watch Dia hug Pops, man, as they won, and they both flashed the hook 'em right there. Really cool. We're gonna work to get Raja back on the show, kind of talk about maybe his journey with Dia. And he's got a younger son that's a 2028 shooting guard, combo guard that has like 7 Power 4 offers already. So I'm gonna try to hit up Raja and get him back on the show because he has done a great job fathering, and I thought that was really cool to see. Kind of.
That's what I was saying. Like you enjoy that with your family, man.
Yeah.
That's why I'm with you. I don't necessarily, I put some importance on it, but not a ton, because the reality of it is that when bullets start flying, they're not flying at the Elite 11. No. They're trying to throw tackling dummies at you, not hands all over the place and hitting you in the face mask and all that kind of stuff. So there's a level to it, but it does show potential.
Yes.
And that's a good one.
All right. Anything else in recruiting, Jerry?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Well, we have a decision coming up tomorrow. Vodney Cleveland will announce his decision tomorrow. Defense. I think we have his huddle here.
Yep.
6'2", 315. It's Caden Finley, which
I got to get the right one. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We're going to watch Caden Finley next because we haven't watched Caden Finley in a while. We want to watch this. And again, this defensive line, I've said this before, they had 3 national 150, 100 type guys. That was a nice punch, by the way. Is Vodney Cleveland played next to Jordan Crawford, who signed with Auburn, who I think is going to be a star and maybe a first-round pick one day. I think he reminds me of Casey Hampton. I'm not saying he's going to have 100 tackles in college. Then they had an edge that was signed with Auburn, too. There's a top 50 kid in the country last year. So this defensive line, it was 3 studs, all trying to converge on the ball. So statistic-wise, that may have held Vodney back a little bit. But Vodney Cleveland will announce Saturday. I think Texas is in a pretty good spot. Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, the competition. And the key to that's all. He was a one-time Alabama commitment that decommitted. And since that time, we've been hearing behind the scenes that he wanted to probably get away for college and do something different. And, unless something changes in the last 24 hours, it looks like that's going to happen. And he will go out of state for college. And I think he had a great unofficial visit in the spring. And I think he had a tremendous official visit. And so he is a guy that Bobby's strong at the point of attack, run defender, can play over the ball, can also play in the gap, I think. He's not just an over-the-ball player. Dylan Berryman's your just over-the-ball player in this class. I think this guy's got a lot of power. He's a 600-pound squatter as a junior in high school.
And did you see that swim move?
Oh, yeah.
Look, you and I talked about it yesterday. I think these are more the type of defensive tackles that fit Pete Kwiatkowski's defense better. I mean, this is the kind of point of attack guy. He can hold a gap. And so I really believe that Texas has changed a little bit the type of defensive tackle they're recruiting. These guys don't look like Alfred Collins or Vernon Broughton. They don't look like Mora Ojomo, Jerry. And that's not to mean that those guys aren't good players. They're obviously in the NFL.
Right.
These guys are more sturdier against the run. Is that the right way to put? I mean, how do you even explain that difference? These are, I feel like they're more suited for the SEC than the Big 12, right?
Yeah.
Where the Big 12, if you're going 5 wides all the time or 4 wides, you need guys that can get upfield and do a little something different. These are guys that can play the run first and foremost. That's my feeling. The interior guys.
Absolutely. And look, Texas signed 2 big defensive tackles last year, frame-wise, and Myron Charles and Josiah Sharma. So one of the questions, I got a DM. I can't remember if it was on Twitter or on TexasFootball.com. I think it was on TexasFootball.com. It's a good way to get in touch with me, by the way, if you're a member over there. Was Texas recruiting not tall enough D linemen in this class? I said, well, last year, Myron Charles, 6'4" and change, 330. Josiah Sharma, 6'4", right, 360. I mean, they got 2 big body guys. We'll see where Justice Terry's body goes. So they can have a couple of the 6'1", 6'2" guys in this class. And the other guys they're recruiting, Corey Wells, 6'5", 290. Then you have Kendall Gerville coming in this weekend, who's 6'4", 315. Damari Simeon, 6'2.5", 290. And he is a powerful guy. Texas is doing pretty well with Damari Simeon, by the way. He visits Ohio State this weekend, but Texas is doing pretty well with him. And then James Johnson's more of that penetrator guy. So we'll see where all this goes, but I totally agree with Bobby. They got some strong-handed, 315-pound, barrel-chested kids coming in because playing the run is number one. And then Kenny Baker believes he will develop you from there on out. Somebody in the chat asked about Trenton Henderson. Real wild card for me, guys. Last week was his first time ever on campus. So where does it go this weekend with the official visit? And Florida probably the team to beat. He's also scheduled to go to Florida State later in the year or during the season. So we'll see how long this drags out realistically. Auburn is in it, proximity. Michigan, LSU got official visits. Let's see. Texas is going to give it their best swing, though. He's one of the best players in the country. I think he's a top 10 prospect in the country. I think he's a stud. After going by their spring jamboree, he is a very, very high-level prospect. And Texas is going to give it everything they got. That I can tell you. But we kind of have to see what happens here.
Hey, I do want to give a nod before we talk a little bit about Caden Finley, and we have Jake Collett coming on, the Texas kicker commitment. I want to give a little positive pub to Leo Brooks and his family, Corby Brooks. Leo Brooks was a defensive lineman on the national championship team. He was old number 71, if people will remember him. His son, Corby Brooks, played at Texas in the 90s as well. It's a big Longhorn family. If you know them or know of them, you will know that they are Longhorns through and through. That has been a 71 that everybody knows. Now I want to show you a picture of a guy that's a little bit different. He's the current number 71 on this team. So I know it has 73 there. This is Nick Brooks. But when we say large humans, that's what we mean by large humans.
Large humans.
And I'm here to tell you, and CJ was here, he'd back me up on this. Because we saw the family at the airport last year. His mom is not short, by the way. She's not a short lady. She just looks short in this photo. Yeah. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
That's him on his Iowa visit last year. He was obviously went between Iowa and Georgia as a high schooler. But I was looking who the number 71 was this morning. It's going through, so I was looking for pics that maybe show how big this guy is. That's Nick Brooks, my man.
And by the way, I have two things to say. He's 6'7" and probably a quarter, 6'7" and a half without shoes on. His body is reshaped a lot. Like he was probably 380 to 390 in this picture, and he is down to about 340 now. He's put in a lot of really good work, and he did a lot of that at Grayson his senior season, and then after that, before he reported to Texas, and since he's been at Texas, he looks. Having been by Grayson last year early in the season, he looks really good physically for where I first saw him at right now. He's a monster. He looked very big at St. Louis with Arch. He made Arch look small.
Yeah, that's what this guy's saying.
Looked small last week.
I love it. I love it, man.
All right, let's look at that Caden Finley huddle. Jerry,
yeah, we haven't looked at Caden Finley in a while. This will lead us into Jake Collett, the kicker from Ringgold, Georgia Heritage High, when he's about to join us. It's committed to Texas. But we haven't looked at Caden Finley in a while. A son of Jermichael Finley. Bobby, it gives me a lot of DeAndre Moore vibes, but a guy that can also play outside. I think there's a lot of similarities there. I think he's a really good double move receiver. I think he's really good at his craft for a young guy. Plays at Aledo, obviously, in a program where the expectation level is high. He's a willing blocker. He's a physical player. I'm not sure he has any choice, by the way, with Jermichael. We've had Jermichael on the show before. But Caden Finley is, early on in this process, he kind of thought about Notre Dame and, doing his own thing. And I think as this process has gotten closer and closer, staying close to home is a little bit more important. And we'll see if Texas can close this deal ahead of a July 4th announcement, but I do think Texas has made up a lot of ground on Notre Dame entering the weekend, and I think he's a really, really good football player.
You know who he reminds me of, actually? is Jaden Greathouse.
Yeah.
That's the type of receiver I see him as. And I know Greathouse is doing really good things at Notre Dame, but he's look, Emmett Mosley is another. I wrote an article this morning. I mentioned Emmett Mosley, the wide receiver out of Stanford that Texas grabbed. And CJ wrote something yesterday about his athleticism showing out. Athleticism is everybody talks about speed as a wide receiver, or they talk about 50-50 ball ability. They rarely talk about athleticism. And athleticism is not necessarily quickness or speed. It's more in that just ability to kind of make subtle movements and create space for yourself. And I think that Caden Finley is a plus athlete. That's my opinion. And it's kind of sneaky because he's not the fastest, he's not the biggest. But those kind of guys are they're good athletes, and they make it happen for themselves.
And again, battle with Notre Dame here for Caden Finley. I really think this comes down to with Caden Finley, does he just want to go do something different and blaze his own path or not? So I think Texas will they'll put on a good show this weekend. They'll have a really good visit with him and his family, and we'll see where this goes. I think it'll be interesting to see. I know Texas has done a really good job in this recruitment of late.
I got a text from somebody as we were talking about Nick Brooks, somebody that was up in St. Louis with him, asked him how big he was, Jerry. He told him he was 6'8", 340.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got a super chat for you, Jerry Hamilton from Longhorn Frenzy 1. He says, Jerry, after a hard day of stalking, you need to go to Terry Black's and get you a black margarita and cool down. It's on me.
Thank you, Terry Black. Sounds amazing Saturday. Amazing.
I was going to say, when you don't have to work afterwards, right?
Yeah, it's a busy weekend for sure, but thank you. All right, it's guest time.
It is. Go ahead.
All right, let's tee it up. Ha for Jake Collett. Jake, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining the show.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me.
Glad you're here, buddy. Congratulations on your pledge to the University of Texas. I got to ask you, what led you to picking the Longhorns? I know Jeff Banks went out there and saw you, but how did it all start, and how did it end up where it is?
Well, Coach Forestier actually followed me on Twitter, sent me a DM. They said they liked my film. I had just come off a good Coles camp, and they set up an official visit with me. And on that visit, I just loved it. The city, the people, the food, the program, the culture, academically, they have what I want. And I saw a lot of opportunity past football. So,
Hey, Jake, I want to ask you, because you mentioned Coles, and recruiting with kickers and specialists is totally different than other position players, because we're just playing a huddle tape of Caden Finley, a wide receiver whose dad played at Texas, visiting this weekend. But it seems to be for kicker punter, it's the Coles, the camps that way outweigh anything you could put on a huddle tape or even maybe in-person evaluation. Is that kind of where you come out? Does Coles really kickstart your recruitment more than what you do on a high school field?
Yes, sir. So Coles, there's a bunch of other programs that do rankings, but Coles is kind of like the golden standard for specialists. And those rankings, I think achieving that 5-star ranking really puts you on the map and kind of jumpstarts it more than a huddle film.
What do you think your strength is? Tell us what your strength is as a kicker.
I think definitely my leg strength and my leg speed. It helps me out a lot. So.
Okay.
So you were an all-state punter, right? But you're coming to Texas to be a kicker. Is that field goal kicking and kickoff? Kind of what you and the staff talked about. And by the way, for the chat, had makes from 52-49, average over 40 on punts last year, and was all-state selection as a punter.
So yes, I'm coming in to compete for a field goal and kickoff spot. So, yeah, I don't really like my odds against Mikey Bukowski's punting. So,
have you ever seen him punt before? Have you seen Mikey punt before?
I saw Mikey punt at a Colts showcase in Dallas, and it was unbelievable.
I've heard the ball sounds a little different coming off his foot. Is that accurate?
Oh, completely different.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys get a chance? You guys all visited last weekend, University of Texas. And when I say you guys, I'm talking about the three of y'all that are the specialists. Yourself, we've had Trot O'Neill on the show as well, and Mikey Bakakis. So the deep snapper, the kicker, and yourself, and then obviously the punter. Did you guys hang out a bunch? What y'all are going to be like a different part of practice? So you guys got to get to know each other. Did y'all jive a little bit?
Yes, sir. We were together pretty much the whole time, whether it was in a room together with our host. We have a group chat. We text in a lot. So we were always together while we were there.
All right. So I got to ask you this. One, kickers are normally good golfers. So I got to ask if you play golf yet or if that's in the later life. And two, what were your other sports growing up? When did you kind of transition to being a kicker and that's where you were headed?
So I'm actually not a good golfer.
Well, that's got to change, Jake.
Hey,
Jake, that's unacceptable. That's got to change.
I've been practicing. I practice here in the yard every day. So, but I was actually a baseball kid. I loved baseball, and I played with the same travel team since I was 6 years old. And then in 6th grade, my dad was a kicker. He went to Tennessee Tech and signed as an undrafted free agent with the Colts. And so in 6th grade, he brought me out to a field and taught me how to kick. And so ever since then, we've just been kicking nonstop. So
Cookeville, Tennessee Tech, the home of Mac Brown, by the way. Hey, we talked to former kickers. We talked to Bert Auburn one time on this show. We had him on, and he was talking about what he did in his pre-kick ritual as far as where he tried to visualize the ball going. Do you have a pre-kick ritual right now, or is that something you're still learning at this time? What works best for you? Give people a little thought process behind what you're thinking prior to going out and kicking a field goal.
So I try not to overthink or think too much because at the end of the day, it's just kicking. So I try to have encouraging thoughts and be like, how perfect can I make this kick? How close to the middle can I make this? Instead of being like, oh, I hope I make this. Oh, I hope they don't block it. So I try to really pump myself up in order to have the best chance mentally to make the kick before I go out and kick it.
So are you looking at a specific target? Are you thinking right down in the middle of the crossbar? What is that the thought process?
I usually pick a target that's high and far behind the uprights.
I like it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hey, Jake, we
so,
have
question for you. So Texas is recruiting really well in the state of Georgia. And do you hear more Texas stuff? You're not going to see a lot of Texas stuff in the state of Georgia. Let's be real. But do you hear more Texas stuff from guys in the state, like teammates or whatnot?
More and more every year. It keeps just building and building, and that's all credit to Coach Sarkisian and what he's doing. So,
how many campuses were you on during this process? Who all did you kind of unofficially visit? Where all did you go?
I took spring visits to Miami, Ole Miss, LSU, Georgia, Tulsa, and Georgia Tech.
Good stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. Hey, so I guess
I think Blake has a viewer question.
Oh, yeah, we do. We have viewer
I
questions.
do from Too Broke to Pay Attention. He says, Jake, what's your routine for kicking to keep your leg from falling off from doing it so much?
Basically, it's kind of all feel for me. I try to get my work in as minimal as possible, get a good amount of work, and then recover right after as quick as possible to keep my leg strong and healthy because it's a long season. You don't want to be tired halfway through. So
you don't ice your leg though, right? Because you don't want to ice the hamstring. What do you do for recovery? Like players jump in the pool, or the cold plunge thing these days. What do you do for a kicker? It's got to be a little bit different.
Yeah, so I actually just kind of soak in my pool out here. I soak in my pool. I take protein shakes that help recovery, and then our trainer at our high school has the like Normatec leg boots.
Ah, okay. So not the cold, because the last thing you want is a tight hamstring as a kicker.
Right,
And that's what I can see it happening. Jake, thank you so much. Jerry,
no. He can't get out of here yet. This doesn't work that way. Hey, so everybody has to be asked, what's your go-to meal? And you're 17 or 18, so Chipotle's off the table. What's your go-to meal, man? Where's your place to go eat?
I love a good steak. Steak's always been my favorite. So
there you go.
There's plenty in Texas. You're good there. Yeah. And barbecue. Oh, by the way, on your visit, did you hit Terry Black's barbecue? Did y'all go anywhere y'all went?
No, we had the head chef's brisket, I think. Okay. And it was amazing. So
good stuff. Jake, best of luck to you, buddy. Good luck this season for you and your team there in Georgia. And welcome to Austin, Texas, and hook 'em, bud.
Thank you. Hook 'em.
Thanks, Jake.
Take care of yourself. Thanks for joining us. Nice young man. Appreciate him joining us, Jerry. Jerry, thank you for setting that up as well, bud. Appreciate you.
Oh, Bobby tried to get out of there without the food question. We got to get the food question in.
Well, hey, speaking of food and steaks,
Bobby,
I need you to tell everyone about Omaha.
You should have had Jake do the read.
Oh, wow. That would have been awesome. I didn't even think about it because I'm so busy thinking about eating it. Look, it's coming up on 4th of July, grilling and chilling time outside with the family, with the friends. It's peak summer. 4th of July cookouts are a tradition. Let Omaha Steaks be the provider for you. From handcrafted steaks to family grilling favorites, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience. For all of your 4th of July grilling plans, enjoy USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, and so much more. And now during their 4th of July sale, you can get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $45 off with promo code ONTEXAS at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. Get an extra $45 off with promo code ONTEXAS at checkout. There's nothing quite like the all-American feeling of 4th of July cookout. And it's the perfect time to stock up and celebrate with exceptional handcrafted flavor and convenience of Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks has been America's original butcher since 1917. It's a family-owned company with more than 100 years of expertise in the meat industry. Again, get fired up for the 4th with Omaha Steaks. omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their 4th of July sale. And for an extra $45 off, use promo code ONTEXAS at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $45 off with promo code ONTEXAS at checkout. See site for more details.
I was going to say, you could have left that photo up the rest of the show and they'd have sold out. Like, that burger photo is pretty strong.
Dude, I will say, I mean, they have something called a brisket burger. Oh, yeah. Longhorn friends. Wait till you taste this. It's like they're fat. I mean, I know like some burgers can be really too thin for me. It's just really, really tasty. Really tasty.
Hey, by the way, in the chat, did we decide which woman is the tallest? Was that what was going on earlier? I can't remember. I think Krista's 5'6". Did we decide on heights in the chat? I lost track. It was moving too fast.
Oh, goodness. I don't even want to know. I personally don't read the chat very much for that very reason. I don't want to know what's being said.
Sometimes that's for the best.
I know. I love my wife.
You just let me moderate it. You don't worry about it, and we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Hey, question for the chat. Is there anybody 6'7" or over in the chat? I was just wondering how tall people are. Do we have any I don't think we have a 7-footer in the chat, but somebody 6'4". Do we have any basketball power forwards in the chat size-wise?
Did you really just call them a footer?
Footer.
Is that what they're called in basketball terminology? If they're 7 foot, you're called a footer?
A footer. Hey, by the way, while we're talking about footers, Austin Gooseby was on Trevor Gooseby's younger brother, made McDonald's All-American. Duke just offered him earlier this week. He was on campus for an unofficial visit with his family earlier this week. His official visit will be during the season. He'll take OVs to Texas, Duke, BYU, Miami, and UCLA. I can see this coming down to Texas and Duke.
Let's take some questions this morning. And don't forget, we do have Laura Ianello, the Texas women's head golf coach, joining us here in just a little bit. But let's see here. A lot of recruiting questions. And let's take this one from Mark Henry. Is Chase Collett a must-have recruit? I think he is.
You know, I think like Diabella is the guy for me, maybe Trenton Henderson. But we'll see what happens there. Chase Collett's a really interesting prospect because he's a safety, but he's got, and I'm not saying he's the same if they test the same, but he's got a very similar frame to DeMarvion Overshown. And that is there's people at North Shore that think he may be a hybrid safety linebacker that just ends up 230, 235 pounds one day. He's a very interesting prospect because he's got safety athleticism, but I think that frame really has potential. It's a bigger frame than Jonah Williams, who Jonah Williams left high school 6'3", 205, 207-ish, depending on when he weighed himself. Calicut is more almost 6'4", with about 195 to 200, but super long arms. And if you see him in person, Jonah had a little more muscle tone at the same age. With Chase Calicut, you say, wow, where could this frame go? Yeah, like what could a Torrey Beckton or strength coaches at Georgia and Michigan do with him? He's going to be an interesting prospect, very talented player out of the Houston area.
Hey, Blake. Oh, sorry. I'm printing logos for the helmets for Chase Callicut's 7-on-7 team today. That's cool. Pretty cool. Thanks, Mark. Hey, Blake, could you put the list of visitors back up?
Yes, sir. Sure.
A lot of people have joined us, and I know there's just general recruiting questions right now. This is the list of players coming in today that Jerry and CJ are going to be trying to talk to and get a chance to see before their visits. You know, the position that we have not talked much about, Jerry, is tight end.
Yeah.
And the two guys coming in, Prothrow is one of the top tight ends, ranked one of the top tight ends in the country. Was it Georgia, Alabama, that sort of group?
Yeah.
And then Kiwi Brown is one of the top tight ends, I think, number 2 ranked tight end in the state of California out of Corona Centennial. Hezzy Kent came in a week and a half, 2 weeks ago now, I think. Where is Texas headed at tight end, or is there a clear path for them right now at tight end?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a clear path. Hezzy Kent likes Texas a lot. Florida's in the battle. He visits FSU this weekend. We'll see where it goes. We'll see if Miami or FSU makes it really a true 3-team race there. At the end of the day, he announces July 12th, I believe is his date. When I was through Brunswick, I really high in May. I really thought Hezzy Kent liked Texas a lot, and I maintain that. I think Florida's making it a real competition, as these recruitments should be. If they're not, you're not recruiting the right guys. I'll always say that and believe it. So we'll see where that goes. And then he's the jumbo tight end, a guy that I think will be 6'5", 275 when he plays in college after he reshapes his body a little bit through a college strength and conditioning program. But there's been some confidence on the Texas side, but there's also some confidence on the Florida side with him. Caden Prothrow, obviously distant relative of Tyrone Prothrow, who played at Alabama. There's more Georgia, Florida talk and then Alabama in that. He's been everywhere, and he'll be at Texas this weekend. So that's a real SEC top flight recruitment. Kiwi Brown was a recent offer in May after Mark Bowman committed to USC. He still visited USC. He's been to Boise. Texas will be his last visit. We'll see where that goes. But I don't think there's a clear path at tight end right now for the Longhorns. I think that Texas really wants Hezzy Kent, and we're going to see where this goes. It's not that far off. July 12th. It's getting here fast.
All right, fellas, our next question this morning comes from LL. LL says, Jerry, what was the sudden change with Atkinson? I thought they had split ways.
I talked to somebody in that circle this morning, and it was the info wasn't right. They didn't have a visit set up, and it didn't look like a visit was going to get set up. And then that kind of changed a few days ago, because I think it was 2 weeks ago. I was like, it doesn't look like a visit's going to happen. They had a conversation. But now obviously the visit is happening. Even though he had been in Austin training a little bit, he'd never been by the facility in June. So he made all his visits. He's Georgia, and he obviously went back to Atlanta area before the Georgia visit, and has been out there ever since. So I guess he went back June 12th. But he's visited Oregon, he's visited Clemson, and Ohio State was fine. Ohio State thought he was coming in this weekend, so a little bit of a late change there. But we'll see which way it goes. It'll be interesting to see him in the recruitment of Xavier Griffin, where both go.
Yeah, that leads me to this question from Mark Valdez, Jerry. What's the outlook with Xavier Griffin? I want Sark to continue taking recruits from Kirby's backyard. So the question there is, could they get Atkinson and Griffin? They're both linebackers. One's more of an edge, or is that just unlikely overall?
Somebody told me unlikely, but we'll see. This stuff changes. This stuff is changing so quickly. They're different positions. Yeah, I do think Xavier Griffin's a linebacker, though. He's 6'3.5", 202. He's not. People are saying, "Oh, he's an edge." Physically, I've seen him twice now. He ain't an edge. He is a linebacker that can rush the quarterback off the edge and really at a high level. I think he's a tremendous pass rusher. Where Tyler Atkinson, I think, is more of a middle backer. But we'll see where that goes with those two guys.
And then our next question this morning from King Me says, any surprises this weekend that you could see happening?
Not as of right now, but let's see what happens. See if anybody pops up here in the next 10 hours.
Before I want to say this before we ask about surprise. Would it surprise you right now if Bodney Cleveland didn't pick Texas on Saturday?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
There you go. I think our second special guest of the day is here. I'm going to bring her in, Coach Laura Ianello. Coach, how's it going this morning?
It's great. Good morning.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. How about you guys?
I think I know your brother-in-law pretty well, a guy named Rob Ianello. So he is a longtime friend of mine, current college coach. He's the GM at Kansas. But I literally have known Rob since he was at Arizona way back in the day. So welcome to Austin. I know you had a good, successful season, and we're here to talk about it today with you.
Well, thanks for having me. And yes, Rob Ianello, he was a coach at Arizona when I was a student athlete. And his wife is like super platinum blonde. And so they always say those Ianello men, they've got something for blondes. So I don't know.
There you go.
Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us. Your first season on the 40. How would you kind of, looking back on it now, what are kind of your thoughts on it? And tell us about, you got a great transfer coming in, obviously. Kind of give us an update there and kind of reflect on your first season on the 40.
You know, I think anytime you go into a new job or a new school, you kind of have a little anxiety of transition and change and making sure that the team can buy into your vision. And I was really lucky. I inherited a very impressive group of young women, golf talent wise, and just individually they're as people. And so moving to Texas, being here, it's another level. And I'm excited to be here to continue to grow the program. And my transition was fairly easy. You know, I've got 2 young kids. The move here, that was all a little chaotic, but you know, I've been coaching for 18 years now. And, you know, you just have to keep it the main thing and just do your thing. And I really did a good job at not trying to change who I was or who I am, because I'm at Texas. Like, ooh, Texas is this big, amazing school. It's the school. And I stayed true to myself and really excited about next year. We did just sign Vivian Liu. She is the 68th ranked player in the world, transfer from Washington. And I think she's going to come in hot for us next year and really help us.
68th player in the world. That's insane. You also had some players returning from last year. Farrah O'Keefe, Austin local, made the cut at the U.S. Open and I think finished 36th. You've got an impressive group overall right now, Coach.
Yeah, Farrah O'Keefe, she made the cut at the Women's Open, and then also just finished runner-up at the Women's Amateur over in Scotland, which is the equivalent of the U.S. Women's Amateur. She's now just jumped in the rankings from 13th in the world to 6th. And right behind her is Lauren Kim from Vancouver, Canada, who's ranked 19th in the world. So we got a lot of talent here, and it's been fun to coach.
Coach,
go ahead, Jerry. Sorry.
Coach, I wanted to ask, from an evaluation standpoint, what is it you're looking for? I know there's the technical things, right? What you can develop, but what is it you look for in the total body of work, the mentality? What are you looking for in a golfer?
Well, first of all, of course, it's golf. So we instantly see a score. So I think consistent scores across the board, not too high, not too low. Consistency is important. In the women's game, that we're seeing on the LPGA Tour, with Nelly Korda, Charlie Hole, even players, like Farrah O'Keefe, there's power. I think athleticism, power in the women's game is very important. Athleticism. So I really try to just keep it simple and go off of those parameters. I also love a young lady who has got good hands, good touch around the greens, who's got good feel, good putting skills. Try to not overcomplicate it. And then also I love a bounce back. I love a young lady who, might have a double bogey, and then instantly you can see there's this zone that she plugs into with fight, and then she can make a birdie coming back. So those are my key things.
Kind of overcoming adversity in the moment, right? Because the thing about golf that's interesting is you just play it out. It's one long round. You don't get like a bunch of time in between. I do have a question for you. You left your alma mater. You just mentioned you're a student athlete there. You left your alma mater to come to the University of Texas. What brought you to Texas from Arizona, and what was the key in your decision there?
Well, CDC, our athletic director at Texas, he actually worked at Arizona when I was a student athlete. And so I didn't know CDC, but I think what he has done at Texas is so admirable. And, and I think the fact that every program here is elite and absolutely no joke. Everybody is here to win. And I'm not going to lie, I was comfortable at Arizona. I had won a national championship there. I was probably the second tenured coach. I was the old lady on campus. And so I felt like I wasn't growing like I should have been. And even though I left a brand new $15 million facility at Tucson that we just built, I was like, you know what? I need to do this. I knew I would regret it. And so CDC and just, I think everything that they have to offer here at Texas with their facilities, their resources, and just being surrounded by other great coaches is what really brought me here.
You wanted to kind of push yourself a little bit, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
trying to push yourself a little bit.
For some reason, at 45, I really wanted to be uncomfortable. Great.
That's good. No, that's good. You can only grow if you're uncomfortable, they say.
That's right.
You can only grow if you're uncomfortable. Jerry, do you have something?
Yeah, I did. So softball just won the first national championship. And when we heard you were going to be on the show, I instantly thought, I wanted to ask you this question. You won a national championship as a player, I believe, at Arizona. Reflecting back on that, just kind of now that you look back on that, what the girls just did in Texas softball, first ever national championship. When you reflect back on yours, kind of who was on that team that people might know, and kind of just how often do you reflect back on that?
It's the ultimate, that's why, we play sport for the camaraderie, the friendships that we build. We play for the competition, and then you play to win, plain and simple. So back on that team, we had players like Christina Baena, we had Jenna Daniels, we had Christina Montero. Really women that never went and played in the pros, but There's something about team chemistry, a team bond, when you get women that have the same goal, they keep each other accountable, they support each other, they encourage each other. That is what makes a winning team. And so for me, having that experience now as a player and as a coach, I know what it takes to win. I've been there. I've played LPGA. So I know what these women are going through. And so for me, coaching, of course, I want to win. It's great. But I said, the best part is when you get a group of women together, they will have the most amazing memory for their lives. Winning a national championship goes up there with memories of having a baby. I'm not kidding you. It's that great. Because I've had that too. So it's just what inspires me to win at Texas here is for these women to just do their thing and to have this bond that will keep them together for life.
I got to bring up a viewer question because this is going to turn into the golf channel now. Longhorn Frenzy wants to know, hey, Coach, how do I get rid of my duck hook off the tee? Which I just thought was funny.
Put the ball position more forward and go get a lesson from your local PGA Tour pro.
You don't give lessons at UT Golf Club in your spare time?
No.
Dang, I'm out then. I'm out too. That's the reason I asked.
Hey, we got Greg Gardner is there. Lots of pros at UT Golf Club are happy to help you.
Coach, thank you so much for your time, and we appreciate you. Welcome to Austin again. I know we're a little late having you, but welcome to Austin, and best of luck next year. Congrats on the big transfer too. That's big. That's really.
I got one more question. We always leave with Bobby. What's your favorite restaurant in Austin? Like Mike White came on, and we've had Bob Bowman. Everybody tells us their go-to restaurant. What's your spot?
Oh my gosh, my go-to spot. Well, I love barbecue, but I have not gone to all the spots, so I don't know if I'm picking the right one. But I'm definitely going to gain 5 pounds every time I go to Terry Black's. That place is so good. Oh my gosh, it's so good. But I need to try more. I need to branch out and try all of them.
Terry Black show today. Thank you so much, Coach. Best of luck to you. Okay, have a good summer. Hook 'em.
Thanks, Coach.
Hook 'em.
Good stuff. Jerry Hamilton, you made this into a Terry Black show almost. My goodness.
I mean, like they may as well sponsor the show.
Yeah, could do it.
There
What's up next, Blake? You got some questions that we can
I
talk
do,
about?
but first I need Jerry to do us a favor and tell us about Ridge Wallet, which I lost mine. I got to find it. But
that's the way to start a read. He lost his wallet. All right, so let's talk about Ridge Wallet. Why don't we? Bobby loves his Ridge Wallet. Why? Here's what you don't want. Okay. You don't want that giant crusty leather brick that's falling apart that hurts your back on a long drive. I mean, sitting uneven, George Costanza Seinfeld. You don't want that. You want a unique, slim, modern design that holds up to 12 cards plus cash. One that you need to protect from your significant other from time to time. Made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. There's over 50 colors to choose from. Blake brings up the burnt orange looking one. All Ridge products have a lifetime warranty. This is literally the last wallet you'll ever have to buy. Does it give you peace of mind knowing that Ridge wallets have RFID blocking technology? It should, because it keeps you safe from digital pickpocketers. There's a lot of them out there. Ridge wallets now well over 100,000 5-star reviews. Man, that's a lot of 5 stars. Losing your wallet is absolutely the worst, Blake. But with the Ridge Air attachment, Ridge AirTag attachment, you'll always know exactly where it is before panic mode kicks in. Ridge isn't just about wallets. They create everyday premium carry essentials like cases, suitcase, and rings, all built with the same sleek and durable design. No matter what you pick, Ridge has free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all their products. So for this limited time, head to Ridge Wallet to get 10% off using that code ONTEXAS, all caps at checkout. Just head to Ridge Wallet and use the code ONTEXAS, and you're all set. And then just let them know where you found out about Ridge Wallet from, and then come back and show it off on the show.
Yeah. Thank you, Jerry. All right, now we can get to some questions here. We got some super chats to get to. And let's start with this one from Eric Mitchell. He says, good morning, fellas. Appreciate everything y'all do day in and day out. Hook 'em. With Dia winning the Elite 11 MVP, what, if anything, does that do to attract more talent and to possibly make guys rethink their commitment elsewhere?
Not really. I think recruiting's changed a lot. Recruiting is a lot more transactional. So I just don't think these have the same impacts they used to have. Because the reality is one school may fit like a receiver more than another school, and the NIL may be a game changer in that recruitment. So I just, things are so transactional now. There isn't really that lead follow scenario in recruiting very much at all. I don't see it. I don't feel it. I don't hear about it. You used to hear about it when you talk to people, kids. You don't really hear about that anymore. That's been a big change in the last 3 or 4 years.
I think it's a fair statement. I hadn't really thought about it that way, but there hasn't been that follow me kind of thing that's gone on that much. I will say this, Jermaine Bishop cited Dia Bell as one of the reasons why he chose Texas, the wide receiver out of Willis, or athlete out of Willis. And I'm sure the other thing that hasn't happened yet is Dia Bell hasn't taken his official visit, and we'll see how he interacts with the players around him this weekend. Right, Jerry? I mean, they've yet to get together as a group. One of the things that used to happen is the quarterback would come in and they'd have an official visit with the quarterback, and then they'd go and talk about what schools. Now kids are committing before they even get to their official visits or get to even know who their quarterback is, other than via DM or text message, right? And so a little bit of that has been lost to the process as well, right? You don't get a chance to be around them as much. So very interesting.
Then our other super chat comes from Lee Barton. Thank you, Lee. He says, OTF, did y'all see the Washington athletic director mention the next Big Ten media rights deal may include unequal revenue share based upon brand value? And what do y'all think? Huggle.
I think they knew that going in, right? I mean, that, like, Washington and Oregon, as part of the deal, knew they weren't necessarily going to get equal rev share. And I think that's, look, if you're going to want to keep Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan happy, that may be what you have to do. It will be interesting if the SEC goes that direction. What does that look like? You know, that I don't know that the SEC is ready for that. Texas didn't go in with the idea that they would get unequal or favored nation media revenue deal out of the SEC.
And by the way, Blake, I got to bring this up. It's a phenomenal idea.
I was about to bring it up next.
Texas Chico one. Y'all used to have a recruiting map. Can y'all make one for Texas coach food trough map? Yes, that's a great idea. I'm sure Blake will have fun. We'll do that.
I will.
So I got to say this. So, you know, we've gone through those food. My favorite answer is still Bob Bowman.
Whataburger.
Swim coach. Yeah. Whataburger was his favorite restaurant.
Mike gave me a hard time about that.
I like it. I'm good with that.
Yes, we will. I will work on that this weekend and go back and make a list of who eats where, and we'll have that next week for sure.
Whataburger's a Texas institution now. No doubt about it.
King me with the good question here. How much TV time will Texas get next year if the Mannings and Ronda Rousey are in the stands?
Well, I think it's going to be so interesting. So for when Arch wasn't the starter, the Mannings never came around the facility because they were very respectful to Quinn and knew it would cause chaos. And Sark knew it would cause unneeded chaos. But since Quinn has moved on and Arch is the starting quarterback, you've seen Peyton at the facility. You've seen Eli at the facility. You've seen Archie at the facility. Bobby, I think it's going to be really interesting how much – and they're not trying to be a part of it. These guys are pros, right? They're supporting their nephew and grandson is what they're doing and supporting the University of Texas football program the best they can while also cheering for Tennessee and Ole Miss on Saturdays when they're not playing Texas. But I think it's going to be interesting from a media standpoint, just how much they are on camera, how much, because I think they want to keep the focus on Arch and not them, and not it be just about the whole Manning family, Bobby. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate it all, because there's going to be a ton of requests.
Yeah, there will be a ton. It was awesome. I tell you what, a lot of us could take some lessons from the Mannings and how they handled the last 2 years, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is, to Jerry's point, they didn't make it about Arch. They didn't make it about themselves. They stood back, even though they are definitely front and center in just about everything they do because of who they are. But they handled things the right way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lesson for everybody. So I don't know. I think the media frenzy is going to be nuts. But I also will say that hopefully it matches his play on the field, because we can talk about the media all we want. Texas got to win games, and we'll see what he's made of as it relates to that, because I feel like he has. The one thing about him is I think that the Manning family, as big in media friendly as they are, they're also bottom line focused about winning and performance. So I don't think they lose the forest through the trees, if that makes sense. They don't get too much into the media thing when they realize, hey, it's the play on the field that allows for the media to be part of it. And I think that's one thing that Arch seems to get, and his family definitely gets overall.
Hey, I wanted to bring this up before we get to some more questions here. The Texas football official account just tweeted this out. They said it's sandpit season. Right there you see Hero Canoe and Malik Muhammad.
There you go.
An insider look at summer workouts.
And a big season for coming up for Manny. Look, he came to Texas to be a 3-year player, and I think he's on track to do that. The question is, where will that third year get him in the NFL draft? And there's a lot of talk about, it's going to be a lot of talk focused on Anthony Hill in the NFL draft this year. But Manny, big season coming up for Manny Muhammad to where he goes in the NFL draft, because I do think he's a 3-year player.
I thought you were saying Manning, because we were just talking about, but you're saying Manny.
Manny.
I was like, wait, why are we talking about Arch Manning when we're looking at a picture of Manny Muhammad? And then I realized you're saying Manny, 3-year player. Okay. Got it.
Oh.
Hero Canoe, the Ohio State transfer as well.
Yeah. More super chats this morning rolling in. This one from Corey J. Thank you, Corey. Does KJ Edwards' commitment to A&M hurt with the recruitment of Kavion Bryant?
Well, they're distant relatives. Very interesting. I was shown a photo around the Texas Elite Camp of them holding UT footballs when they're little kids. We'll see where it goes. We'll see. I'm not sure Texas is in a hurry to have a 2027 quarterback in the boat yet. We'll see what happens in the next month.
And then Splendid.
Wait. I got to delve a little bit more into Jerry's answer there. So why? Why do you think that, Jerry? What's the thought process behind it?
With Kavion Bryant, there's the basketball, but he's decided he's going to be more football focused. A heck of a player. He'll be playing at TABC in basketball this weekend. By the way, high school basketball fans, TABC at Duncanville this weekend is phenomenal. Everybody's going to be there. There's a question about Bo Ogden I'm going to answer in a second. But I think Texas got that answer, that he wanted to be more football focused. I think what happens with Peyton Houston? Where does Gunnar Rivers' recruitment go? I'm not sure Texas is in as big of a rush in this class, in the 27 class. I have a feeling Brady Edmonds was their top guy, and then when he committed to Ohio State, it reset.
Gotcha. So now they got to really figure it out.
And some of these guys, I think that some of the guys they're recruiting aren't as in a bigger hurry right now, which is interesting.
All right, Splendid Daddy, formerly Sugar Daddy, with the super chat. Thank you. Says, do y'all need an OTF food correspondent? I'm cheap.
Man, I wish I could be in Austin right now, because I could deal with either Kirby Lane or Magnolia Cafe for breakfast after this episode. After we get off the air, I did not eat this morning, and my stomach is growling.
And then a super chat here from Eric Mitchell. He says, if Texas secures Finley's commitment at wide receiver, do they still push for a committed Jabari Mack or any of the other top of the board receivers?
I do think if Texas gets Finley, I do think they have a spot for a fourth in the class. And I think that could lead into senior season.
Look, Texas did not have Jabari Mack in this weekend.
No.
I don't know if Jabari Mack's the one they circle back to, per se. I want to throw that out. Not that he wouldn't be welcome. It's just I don't know that he's necessarily the one for y'all.
I wanted to answer this real quick because I got to leave to go to the airport soon. Because CJ had asked this earlier. Trying to get a gauge on how good Bo Ogden is. I haven't seen him play. Who do you think has higher upside, him or Hudson Greer? Hudson Greer is really good, signed with Creighton. Was at Lake Travis, then transferred down to Montverde his senior year. I think Bo Ogden is a tremendous basketball player. And I say that, is he the tallest guard wing? No, he's 6'5.5". Is he the most explosive? No, there's guys that are more explosive. But I think he's one of those guys that can help lead a team to a Final Four. There's a reason Matt Painter is fighting as hard as he can just to try to get him not to go to Texas. Bo Ogden is really, really good. He knows how to play, as he should. He grew up in the Texas facilities, or Tennessee, or Texas Tech, or UT Arlington, wherever Chris was coaching at the time. But he is a high-level competitor. He sees the game at a really high level. He shoots it he'll be a 40% three-point shooter in college at 6'5.5". He's gotten better off the bounce in his decision-making. He's athletic enough. He'll play above the rim, but he's physical. He's tough. He's got a mentality. He is a guy that I think could be part of a Final Four team and help a team get to a Final Four. I really like Bo Ogden as a player. And I'm not saying year one. I think he'd be a good player year one in college. But I think over time, he's the type of guy you want in your program in college basketball. And I do think he has a pro future, whether that's what level of pro ball, that has to be that'll play out over time. But I think Bo is going to be very successful in college as a player. I do think he'll have a pro career. He shoots it at such a high level, and he understands the game at such a high level, and he's got the competitive spirit and physicality combination that you absolutely have to have. I'm a big Bo Ogden fan as a player. And we'll see if we'll see where that goes. Texas, Purdue, I think Miami wants to bring him in for a visit. You know, it's been interesting because a lot of schools haven't recruited him because they just figured he was going to Texas. But you still have to recruit these guys, and everything still has to be a fit. But Purdue has not given up at all. Stanford recently, I think, threw their name in the hat. But I think right now it comes down to Texas and Purdue, which is right where you want to be. Like if Austin Gooseby comes down to Texas and Duke, and Bo Ogden comes down to Texas and Purdue, those are the recruitments you want to be in.
All right. Before we get to our last couple of questions of the day, because Jerry has to get off to the airport, like he said, Bobby, one more time, tell everyone how they can escape the insurance trap.
Yeah, absolutely. BKCW helps you and your business escape the insurance trap. They allow you to have a true experience where you get to tell them exactly what's going on with your business, and then they have a 5-step process that allows them to go through and look and monitor and execute everything that you're talking about. They take you out of the insurance trap by providing you with actual risk management consulting and not just price quoting. Operating out of their headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad, BKCW uses that 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs while effectively managing the company's risk. Go to bkcw.com or send an email to info@bkcw.com to get started with a free risk assessment or claims audit and escape the insurance trap. They work with a number of businesses across Central Texas, whether it can be anything from a school district to restaurant groups, construction companies, on and on. bkcw.com, your business insurance choice.
Okay, guys. Well, we have time for just a couple of more here. Chin Up says, finally get to see you guys live for the first time in a long time. Going backpacking for 2 weeks tomorrow with my son. Did the same thing 31 years ago as a scout myself. We'll miss you guys. Any word on Xavier Filsaime?
Good question. We're waiting to see what happens with Xavier this fall too. I mean, right, Jerry? He's one of the guys that we think needs to have a good fall camp and expect to have a good fall camp. But is he going to start getting time? That's the real question. I mean, Texas looks pretty good at safety with Taft, Jelani McDonald, and Derek Williams returning. Who's the fourth safety? Is it going to be Xavier Filsaime? Is it going to be Jordan Johnson-Bell? Is it going to be Jonah Williams?
Yeah.
And so who gets in that rotation? It's a big gap for our big time for Xavier Filsaime. Good luck on your 2-week trip. Hey, I want to say congrats to one other before we get out of here. I got to say congrats to one of our sponsors, Flat Creek Estates.
Oh yeah.
Did y'all? I don't know if you heard about this, but I was talking to one of their guys. They won the award for best red blend at the San Francisco Wine Show. Last week, I believe they scored a 98 out of 100. That made them the #1 red blend in the country.
Wow.
That is the Super Texan. And it literally is, it's Texas's best wine over in right out of Austin there. A great place to go to if you have a chance. But anyways, congrats to Neil, Eva, and Sean and those guys, Eddie Lopez, all those guys for what they've done at Flat Creek Estate Wine.
Congrats.
2 more real quick, and then we'll let Jerry go. Sarah McCoy with the first one says, which SEC football team will be the surprise team in 2025?
I'm going with Florida or South Carolina because of the quarterback.
Like it.
Just me.
Jerry?
Florida, if they stay healthy on defense, I don't think they have great depth. And I agree, South Carolina, if they put the players around Sellers, I think he may be a little different in college football as a quarterback.
And our final one for today, Jerry, a very popular question in the chat. It's been asked many times. Roll F says, how many highs are on campus this weekend?
Nah. We'll find out.
I told them
Jerry, wait, let's look at that list one final time because you're getting ready to go to the airport.
I need to go now.
List one more time, buddy.
I can leave now because the full screen's not up. I can just walk out of the show.
Bishop, Wright, Robertson, Stewart, and Bell have committed. So that's 5 commitments out of the 18 that are going to be on campus.
My prediction is I will throw out 2 or 3 this weekend on TexasFootball.com.
Hopefully one happens tomorrow, though, with Bodney Cleveland, an actual commitment. He's expected to announce tomorrow afternoon. So that's defensive lineman out of Birmingham, Alabama.
But I think this is a really interesting weekend for Texas because look, you had some late developments on this official visit list.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of late developments on this list. James Johnson was iffy whether he was coming in or going to go to Syracuse. Tyler Atkinson, late setting up the OV. Trenton Henderson set it up after a first ever visit to Texas last week. Huey Brown was a late May offer. There's a lot of late movement in this weekend. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
All right, well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by BKCW. I want to thank them along with Ridge Wallet and Omaha Steaks for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well, along with our 2 special guests, Jake Collett and Laura Ianello. Great to have both of them on. Bobby, what you got later today?
We got Jerry's going to the airport, so we're going to have updates. We've already got a thread started for the recruiting weekend. Big weekend ahead for the Longhorns, 18 official visitors. 1 o'clock, we'll have a live stream. Jerry and CJ may do an extra video at some point today based on what all they see and witness in Austin this weekend. And then I think y'all are going to have a little baseball recruiting update, Blake, this afternoon because Longhorns, I don't know if we even mentioned this, Von Lane just needs to take Jerry
I agree.
League. Marco, you're right about Von Lane. But what I was going to say is Longhorns apparently doing some good work in the portal right now.
Yes.
That's interesting because Schlossnagle already has a good team coming back next year. It feels like they're doing what they need to do to maybe take it over the top. So
100%. Yeah.
that's all of what we're talking about. And then obviously over the weekend, it's all about recruiting. We've got a lot of stuff going on.
And of course, head on over to ontexasfootball.com. We can't be on here all the time, so y'all can't pester Jerry about the highs all the time, but you can go over to ontexasfootball.com and pester him there. If you're not a member, sign up and use promo code OTFOG. You can get a full year for just $39.95. That's for first-time subscribers only, and that offer only available for a limited amount of time, so you need to jump on it now. Again, OTFOG.
I'm going to say something very dangerous. My DMs are open, guys, but that may if you ask me anything crazy, I'm not getting back to you. I'm just saying from a recruiting perspective, on TexasFootball.com, that DM is the best way to hit me up. The Twitter stuff moves fast and furious.
All right. Well, hope you all have a great weekend. Of course, we'll be back on Monday morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake